Hey everybody, Bear Tracker Nature Films coming to you from above the Eel River, which is currently full of algae. But back to tracking, here is something very cool, and I think you'll like this one. So there's a scat here. In fact, there are several scats of several different animals. So number one is this big obvious one right here, but I'm going to get right back to that one. There's one right here that is an old scat that's been aged and fallen apart. It was made out of berries of manzanita, and it was deposited on top of that brick. That was a gray fox scat. And then there's this accumulation of scat right here, which is tubular and made out of grass. And these are wild turkey scats. Now, let's get back to the big one. So, this is a trail that goes along above the river for a little ways. And right here in this area, there is some loose leaf litter. And this is a preferred substrate because it seems to be something that holds scent very well. And also, another substrate I've showed you in a previous video was a decomposing log. So those types of substrates are made out of organic material that is breaking down and going back to the landscape. And that material also happens to hold scent very well. So I think that's why this species likes to use those areas to mark its scent. And in this case, this scat is deposited in a scrape. And you probably know from previous videos that that type of behavior is done by felines. So in this area, the wild felines are the mountain lion and the bobcat. So the size of this is going to help you tell what species made it. Bobcats around here don't get very big. And the diameter of this scat is quite large. About an inch. Which, you know, could be a bobcat, but that would be a very large bobcat for this particular area. So this one is actually a mountain lion scat, and it is composed of fur from the prey remains. And notice this appearance right here, where they look like little compressed marshmallows or golf balls. They're kind of in this ball-like shape. They're round, and they're pretty firm. So if you were to try to poke that with a stick, it doesn't poke easily. Now the ends probably will, because this looks like it's more fur than it is really super heavily digested stuff. Now this right here is very firm. I can't squash that with a stick. I mean, if I took a rock or stepped on it with my foot, I could probably squash it. But giving it that firmness test, it doesn't compress easily. So that's another indicator that this is a feline scat. Size-wise, and the fact that it's in this scrape also is what helped clue me in that this is a mountain lion scrape and scat. So see right here, this debris has been kicked backwards. So when mountain lions scrape, they don't really do like dogs do. So dogs and coyotes, they come up and they go kick, kick, kick. They just go crazy and they kick stuff like that. When you find a scat and scrape from a feline, they just use controlled movements of their back feet. Left, right, left, right. And when they do that, they create a mound of debris in the back like this. So you can see there's mounded debris, and there's also this paired appearance to these marks. Now you don't see that in the one I found over here, the paired appearance, because the scat is right in the middle of it. But if the critter had made just the scrape, you would see this, and then you might see that paired appearance depending on how old this is. Now this is not super fresh. There are a ton of squirrel tracks on this trail, and I did not find the pumas tracks yet, but I will be looking. I know that there are several pumas that have been hanging out in this area. Last year there was a mother that had 2 cubs, and I think those 2 cubs are out here making this their territory. So this is a mountain lion scat. I'll get a little closer, and maybe I'll try to break up a piece to show you what's in it. Okay, so I'm wearing gloves, obviously, to protect myself from any parasites or anything that might be in here. But I wanted to show you the appearance. So look at the very segmented appearance to these lumps. See how there's a little line in between them? They're like squished, compressed marshmallows stuck together. And, you know, they look like roundish golf balls. And when I'm trying to squeeze that, that thing is hard. Hard as a rock. Although it can be crushed. So the same here. Note the segmented appearance. Now this size, with this less diameter, this would be more consistent with, in my area, Bobcat Scat. So you can see the segmented appearance of this thing, and that's more like what a Bobcat Scat looks like around here. This one, in fact, has a piece of bone in it right there. And I imagine there's more in there if I started to crush this. So I'm going to take this piece and try to crush it for you so you can see what's in here. And I'm going to do it over here on a hard surface. So this is the crushing test, or I'm going to break it open so you can see what's in this thing. Notice that there's kind of this grayish material in here in between the fur. And that's some sort of a digestive product that you find in feline scats. So by pounding on it with that rock, I was able to loosen it up enough that I can open it. And here is like a small bone. Let's set that aside. But note how inside this fur that is in here is really twisted together, but it's compacted and it's got that grayish material in there also. So that's one thing that you find in feline scats, that gray material. And I don't know the name of it. I haven't been able to find any references about the name of that either. So most of this looks like deer fur. And you note the powdery stuff that's coming out of there, that gray material. So, and there is also a very distinctive odor to feline scat, and I'm smelling it right now as I break this open. Obviously I can't transmit you the odor during a video, but so right here you can see some clear identified deer scat, or deer fur right there. So deer fur is hollow, and it will crimp if you fold it. And this one right here shows that it's folded. So there was a bone, there was some deer fur. So it looks like this mountain lion was eating deer. And in California, where this is being filmed, that's one of their primary prey items. They will also eat things like beavers, raccoons, and smaller mammals that they can catch. But really, for a large predator like a mountain lion, it's kind of a waste of their time to hunt things like mice. They need to hunt bigger things because they're larger animals and they require more calories. So for a mountain lion, they need to hunt larger prey. So anything, a mid-sized animal and up would be their preferred prey to hunt. So hopefully that helps you identify mountain lion or just feline scat in general. And the sizes are kind of a guideline. There is overlap, of course, and the larger end ones you can pretty much predict are going to be mountain lion. But look for that sort of ball-like crushed marshmallow type appearance. Look for the outer coating. Oh, I'll show you that in a minute. Look for the outer coating that is sometimes found on feline scats, and look for really densely packed scats inside with lots of twisty fur with the grayish material in there. This powdery type stuff. It turned to powder when I pounded on it. Obviously, it's more of a liquid when it comes out. And then also remains of prey being in the scat. So bones, fur, anything like that indicates this is a predator scat. So I hope that helps you identify them. And I'm going to go back over and show you the coating in just a minute. Okay, so I mentioned that there's a coating on them. And this is more... it's more obvious when it's fresh. When these are fresh, there's a kind of a mucousy coating on the outside of them that sort of dries to this dark finish on the outside of the scats. I know I'm describing it like woodworking, kind of grossing you out, sorry. But it is something to look for to help you tell feline from canine scats. So here's a little bit of that darker coating. And it's kind of mucousy, sometimes has a little bit of a greenish tint when it comes out, and I don't know why that is. Something in their digestive tract. But, initially, when these are first deposited, it's very obvious. It looks kind of slick, and right now, obviously, you can't see it. But the outsides are very smooth, which is another helpful clue, because as it dries, that coating is going to look smooth like this. And again, if you're going to handle stuff like this, do it with gloves, I don't know of any parasites in mountain lion scat, but I do know of one in the raccoon scat that humans can get. And it's just best to protect yourself from it if you're going to handle this stuff. Use gloves and wash your hands afterwards. So there's a mountain lion scat for you, and hope you've enjoyed learning about mountain lion scats and scrapes, how they make them, how they use that as a scent marker, and see you on the next video. Keep tracking. So remember the size of the mountain lion scat I just showed you, and note how large this one is. This is actually a bobcat scat, and this is the typical size for my local bobcats. Less than an inch width, but you still see that same form that you saw with the mountain lion scat of the segments, and they look like little squash marshmallows with the outer coating, and they're dense and hard. So if you were to poke it with a stick, same story, it's hard to break these apart. So that's a bobcat to compare your mountain lion to.